Okay, so what's really happening in the Middle East? Well, have you ever heard of the Yinon Plan for a Greater Israel? Drawn up in 1982, it defines a new borders of Greater Israel, a military takeover of those territories inside it, ruled with an iron fist by Israel itself. If you check out www.globalresearch.ca and their article Greater Israel, the Zionist Plan for the Middle East, it'll tell you a lot. I'll read the first few paragraphs, the introduction to it. The following document pertaining to the formation of Greater Israel constitutes the cornerstone of powerful Zionist factions within the current Netanyahu government, which has recently been re-elected, the Likud party, as well as within the Israel military and intelligence establishment. The election was fought by Netanyahu on a political platform which denies Palestinian statehood. According to the founding father of Zionism, Theodor Herzl, the area of the Jewish state stretches from the Brook of Egypt to the Euphrates. According to Rabbi Fishman, the Promised Land extends from the river of Egypt up to the Euphrates. It includes parts of Syria and Lebanon. When viewed in the current context, the war on Iraq, the 2006 war on Lebanon, the 2011 war on Libya, the ongoing war on Syria, not to mention the process of regime change in Egypt, must be understood in relation to the Zionist plan for the Middle East. The latter consists in weakening and eventually fracturing neighboring Arab states as part of an Israeli expansionist project. Greater Israel consists in an area extending from the Nile Valley to the Euphrates. Bit further on, Greater Israel would create a number of proxy states. It would include parts of Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, the Sinai, as well as parts of Iraq and Saudi Arabia. See the map. According to Mahdi Darius Nazemroya, in a 2011 Global Research article, the Yinon Plan was a continuation of Britain's colonial design in the Middle East. Quote, "The Yinon Plan is an Israeli strategic plan to ensure Israeli regional superiority. It insists and stipulates that Israel must reconfigure its geopolitical environment through the balkanization of the surrounding Arab states into smaller and weaker states. Israeli strategists viewed Iraq as their biggest strategic challenge from an Arab state. This is why Iraq was outlined as the centerpiece to the balkanization of the Middle East and the Arab world. In Iraq, on the basis of the concepts of the Yinon Plan, Israeli strategists have called for the division of Iraq into a Kurdish state and two Arab states, one for Shiite Muslims and the other for Sunni Muslims. The first step towards establishing this was a war between Iraq and Iran, which the Yinon Plan discusses." The Atlantic in 2008 and the US military's Armed Forces Journal in 2006 both published widely circulated maps that closely followed the outline of the Yinon Plan. Aside from a divided Iraq, which the Biden plan also calls for, the Yinon Plan calls for a divided Lebanon, Egypt and Syria. The partitioning of Iran, Turkey, Somalia and Pakistan also fall into line with these views. The Yinon Plan also calls for dissolution in North Africa and forecasts it as starting from Egypt, then spilling over into Sudan, Libya and the rest of the region. Greater Israel requires the breaking up of the four existing Arab states into small states. The plan operates on two essential premises. To survive, Israel must 1. Become an imperial regional power, and 2. Must effect the division of the whole area into small states by the dissolution of all existing Arab states. Small here will depend on the ethnic or sectarian composition of each state. Consequently, the Zionist hope is that the sectarian-based states become Israel's satellites and, ironically, its source of moral legitimation. This is not a new idea, and nor does it surface for the first time in Zionist strategic thinking. Indeed, fragmenting all Arab states into small units has been a recurrent theme. Viewed in this context, the war on Syria and Iraq is part of the process of Israeli territorial expansion. Israeli intelligence, working hand in glove with the US, Turkey and NATO, is directly supportive of the crusade directed against the so-called Islamic State, ISIS, which ultimately seeks to destroy both Syria and Iraq as nation-states. And then the article. So, you think ISIS will get defeated soon? Hell no. Not until the whole territory needs to be occupied for the security of the Middle East.